Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Barndoor restoration. Last episode was just a filler where we were on vacation. I just went over where I'm at, how I'm moving forward, and the process I'm going to use to build up the upper body. The trip was great. We were on the road for 11 days in a 64 bus. I put almost 1,000 miles on it. I think it was like 979 miles or something like that. The bus worked perfect, so that's always nice. The funny thing is, though, a few days later, we went to go out to supper with the bus, and I got about 2 minutes from home, and the coil died. Luckily, I always keep a spare under the seat, so 10 minutes later, we're back on the road again. So, this episode, cover the duct under the front floor. Well, part of it. I was planning on having it all done, but when I went to media blast this piece, it turned out to be a lot worse than I had hoped. So the heater duct in these runs from the back of the engine, and it comes up to the center floor. There's a flex pipe that goes through the front suspension beam, and then rigid pipe up here, and then comes up to the floor. There is a little vent in the bottom you can open, and then it lies up to a couple of slots for the windshield for your defog. This pipe here is it's 20 gauge, and it's just flat steel that's been rolled and spot welded down the seam. And then it's got two, because there's a slight bend here, they're welded together. And then there's an elbow in the front. I'm going to cover the elbow in another video because I got to find a way to make that. I have some ideas I'm going to work on. So the old duct wasn't quite worth saving. About 80 millimeters of it extends through the splash panel underneath the seat area. And that was quite rusty. So the flex pipe goes on the end. Rotted out quite bad. So without that, the end changed. And the other end where it meets the elbow, it was also, a lot of it was missing. Also the seam where it's spot welded has a lot of rust in it, and it swelled a lot. So that would have had to been changed. So there really wasn't a lot left of the pipe once you take all the rust out of it. So luckily there was enough left that I could get good dimensions and the details so I could recreate it. So to build this, so this is a flat sheet at 20 gauge that's rolled and spot welded. I didn't have any real way to roll this, so I don't have a metal roller. Not worth building one just for this little bit. Also, I need to roll the rear duct, which is about 5 feet long and slightly tapered. So I need to come up with a technique that was going to work for me. And what I come up with, and I think I've seen it on a video at some point, I took a piece of pipe, slightly bigger than what I'm making, and then I took my sheet steel and welded to it. Now I found the best thing to do was to make the piece of steel about 10 millimeters longer than it needed to be to make the whole turn. That way I could cut off a bit after it was done. So I welded the sheet on, then put it down on the table so sheet's out. I made holes in the end of my pipe so I could put a bar in and turn it. So basically put a bar in and just start rolling the metal up. And if you keep watching the video, I have some video of that after. They'll show me doing that. And where this pipe is bigger slightly than what I'm making, and only made the metal about 10 millimeters wider than it needed to be. When I was done, let it off, it was exposed to weld, so I could easily cut them off. Now the idea of making it wider is so that I could then trim off that edge that's been welded. So what I did, I used pipe clamps, and I pushed the welded side inside of the pipe and clamped it, adjusted the clamps so I get the size exactly what I wanted. Then I marked it and unclamped it, and then I put a cut 8 millimeters off that mark, so I give that 8 millimeter overlap. And that did a real nice job, so I was able to cut it, file it, and then clamp it back together. And clamp it back together, then measure the pipe. And you end up, usually with a little bit of oval. Where this is bigger and you're pushing it together, it'll oval a bit. But it's very easy to fix by just putting it down on the table and pushing it, flatten it out a bit. So I got it so I could measure around, so it was 70 millimeters all the way around. Once I had the two clamps on, it all evened out. I then spot welded it. Now I had to adjust my electrodes on a spot welder so that the bar would fit inside the tube. It worked quite well. Spot welded it all down. And then after they're spot welded, I have this angled piece. I would just basically put it in the chop saw and just eyed up the angle by eye and cut them off. And then when I went to weld them, I made sure that the angle was perfect before actually starting to weld it back together. So very happy with how it came out. It came out just the right size, and it all fits in there good. It's a little tight going through the hole in the splash panel. I can force it through. And it's about as tight as this one. This one here, I had to really twist it and try and work its way out. So I think I may die grind that hole just slightly so it'll slide in a little easier so it doesn't dig in. I don't mind scratching the paint. Most of that will be media blast off paint anyway. But I don't want to gouge the metal sliding it through. But it does go through. So I think this technique of rolling the metal works very well. And I have no issue now with trying to do the rear duct. I just need a longer piece of pipe. But I think it's going to work quite well. Although my spot welder is not going to quite reach the middle of the back one. But oh well, it'll be close. On this front one, the seam is on the bottom, so you see it underneath the bus. The rear one, the seam is on the top. So if I have a few in the middle that I can't spot weld, it'll be fine. I'll just plug weld them in. So I guess that's about everything I wanted to cover for this episode. Next episode, it'll be whatever I get to. I'm not sure. I have to do this elbow. I have the rear ductwork to do. I have the bottom of the bulkhead. There's a bunch of little things I need to get done before I can start moving forward with the big stuff. So the next few episodes will be kind of light on progress, but they're all stuff that needs to get done before I can get into the bigger things. So keep watching for some process video of building this, and also some video of the details of these parts. Thanks for the comments, appreciate them, and thanks for watching.